As I already told you, that a constitution is very important for any country because it's the document which allows all the, the government to work. It is a guide. So it helps the government to take decisions, to make laws and all. Okay. So we have already seen what is a constitution, what is its significance or importance. It defines the powers of all the three branches, which is judiciary and what do you say, legislature, executive, and how each of them can check the power of the other. And it moderates the relationship between the citizens and the government, the governed and the government. And it protects the interests of the citizens by preventing the government from making any arbitrary decisions, not to take any decisions which is not in the interest of the citizens. Then it also ensures smooth governance by ensuring that whatever the government does is for the welfare of the citizens. So these are all some of the points why the constitution is important. Then we know that in 1946, I already told you, when they decided to give independence to us, that was when it decided that, the British people said that you should make a constitution. So a Constituent Assembly was formed with 385 members. But subsequently, I told you that Muslim League left. They demanded a separate Pakistan, and then they left the Constituent Assembly because they were now promised that a new Pakistan, a new country will be created and India will be partitioned. So when that happened, for them to be part of this Constituent Assembly did not make any sense, because now Pakistan will have a different constitution. That is why they left. So when all the members of the Muslim League left, then the strength of the Constituent Assembly reduced from 385 to 299. And now this itself, again, it's a very big group. Okay, so this big group, it was so big because India is a big country and it had all types of people. So while making the constitution, the people, the freedom fighters and all, they wanted to ensure that, we make a good constitution when we become independent. So they took care. So they included people from all classes of society, all religions, all professions. That is why it was so big, from all parts of the country. And now this big Constituent Assembly, who was the president of this, it was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And then it had 8 committees. 8 main committees were there, which were looking into different aspects of preparing the constitution. One of the committees was a drafting committee, whose chairman was Dr. Ambedkar. And this drafting committee had the task of actually writing the constitution. Okay. Now, because this big group was very big and it was so diverse, so there were a lot of debates and discussions before anything could be included in the constitution. So every point in the constitution is called an article. Okay. So every point that is written is called an article. So there were so many articles are there in our this thing. So before writing or including a particular article in the constitution, lot of discussions and debates used to happen, and it was very difficult to bring everyone together to agree to a particular point. And that is why it took a very long time for our constitution to be made. It took 3 years. In fact, it got ready in the end of 1949, whereas we got independence in 47. In August 1947, we got independence. But the constitution was ready 2 years after that. And it was ready by November 1949. But we didn't want to enforce the constitution in November 1949 because we wanted to do it on a special day. We will see that later. So Dr. Ambedkar, he was the head of the drafting committee. That is why he's also called the father of the constitution. Then there were certain objectives and goals that had to be kept in mind while framing the constitution. And that was that free India will be a republic. Okay. And democracy will be given to everybody. Republic means, I told you, no monarch will be ruling India. It will be an elected representative. Okay. Democracy will be given to everybody. Everybody will have freedom. Everybody will have rights. Okay. And everybody has a right to say, express his opinion. Then fundamental rights will be given. I told you there are many rights that every person should be. If you're born on this earth, you're an individual, you should get some certain basic rights. Like nobody should harm you, nobody should take your life should be protected by your government. You should have a right to follow any religion you want. You should have a right to follow any profession, any work, that occupation that you want to follow. You should have a right to do that. You should have a right to move freely within your own country. You should not need a passport to move from Maharashtra to Karnataka or Maharashtra to Gujarat. Within our country, we are all Indians, so within our country we should not have any such restrictions. And wherever we want to settle down, whichever part of India we want to settle down, we should have a right to settle down. It's not necessary that a Maharashtrian cannot settle down in any other part of India and he should live only in Maharashtra, or a Tamilian has to be only in Tamil Nadu and he cannot be in any other part. After all, we all belong to one country, so we are all Indians. It doesn't matter where we are, as long as it is our country. Within our country we should have that liberty. So these are basic freedoms, we can say, okay, certain rights that everybody should get. And these rights, are called the fundamental rights. So Jawaharlal Nehru said that fundamental rights should be included in the constitution. Take care to keep all this in the mind. Then he also said that minorities who have been neglected for many, many centuries, they also should be given some special privileges so that they also come up in society and they also become part of the mainstream. Now, these are all the points that were included by Jawaharlal Nehru. Then based on what Jawaharlal Nehru said, even Dr. Ambedkar also listed certain principles. What were the principles? That the constitution will be flexible. That means when the constitution, say as time progresses, there will be a lot of changes in society, in the ways of living, the thinking, technological process, so many, progress and so many other things change with time. So naturally the constitution cannot be a very old constitution which has no relevance or meaning in present times. So what did Ambedkar do? He said that you can change the constitution from time to time if there is a need, by doing amendments. Amendments are nothing but making changes to the existing laws. Those are called amendments. So you can amend the constitution from time to time. So that is how it is flexible. But that doesn't mean that every government comes and changes the constitution and changes it to his or her own need. That is also wrong. Constitution is a sacred document and it has to be, what is not relevant only should be changed. Not what is good and what is nice. That should not be changed because certain people want to, for their selfish needs, they want to change some part of the constitution. That we cannot allow. So it will be strong. It in the sense that making amendments is not so easy. The procedure for making amendments is very difficult. And this is done to ensure that the constitution is strong enough to keep the whole country united. Then it also provides for safeguards to socially and economically backward people. Then it also, right to constitutional remedies has been included in the constitution by Dr. Ambedkar, which is the greatest thing that any constitution can have. Right to constitutional remedies means we can go to a court of law and we can fight. We can fight if we don't get our fundamental rights. Then you can go to a court of law and you can take any organization or any person who is taking away your fundamental rights. So this power is called right to constitutional remedies, which is a very wonderful thing that has been put in our constitution by Dr. Ambedkar. Because of this thing, our fundamental rights are protected. Nobody dares to take away our fundamental rights because then they can be taken to court. Then that is the biggest thing that is there in our constitution. Then single citizenship and single judiciary. Now, single citizenship is one citizenship for the whole country. We don't have different citizenship. We are not citizens of our own state and then the country and all. We have only one citizenship, and that is as Indians. We are all citizens of India. That's it. So all this has been incorporated to keep us united. So that we don't feel that, oh, I belong to this region. I am a UP person. I am a Madhya Pradesh person. I am a Kashmiri, I am a Punjabi, I am a Haryanvi. Like this, we should not identify ourselves too much. Of course, if you belong to that place, you will say that. There's no wrong, no harm in saying that you belong to a certain place. But that should not become the overriding feature, or it should not be your identity. First, basically, we are all Indians. That should be the top identity. The first identity is that we belong to India. Later on, we can say, okay, I'm from this place. It's just by chance, but it should not become the main thing. That is why only one citizenship and one judiciary. Laws are common in throughout the country, so that everybody feels that they are Indians. If there are different laws, they'll say, "Arey, that person doesn't get punished because he's in another state, and then he gets privileges there." So all this causes division in people. That is why we did not want all that. Single judiciary and strong center, even though states have got their own powers, to rule the states, but still the center is very strong. The union government is very strong, and it can override the decisions of the state government. So these are all some of the things that were put in the constitution by Dr. Ambedkar. Then he also incorporated directive principles, which we have already seen in grade 7. These were all some points to ensure that people are taken care of. Okay, so these are all the principles which were kept in mind, or which were put on paper, based on which Dr. Ambedkar wrote, and his team, not only him, he was the leader. So he and his team, they wrote the constitution. Then Constitution took 3 readings. 3 readings means it was like, 3 times the final draft was read 3 times in front of all the members of the Constituent Assembly to see that everything is fine or any changes have to be made. So after first reading, again, some changes were made. Again, after second reading, some more changes were made. Third reading, some more change. Like that, finally, after 3 readings, the Constitution was ready. And how many days exactly? We are saying approximately 3 years, but exactly it is 2 years, 11 months and 17 days. You should remember this. What was the time taken for making the constitution? You have to write this thing. Then how many articles? I told you every point in the constitution is called an article. How many points were there? 395 articles are there in the constitution, and 8 schedules. 8 schedules are like chapters. Okay. And then when was it adopted? I told you in 1949 it was ready. On 26 November, it was ready. Everybody put their signatures on that day, and the constitution was absolutely ready to be adopted. They adopted it. They said that we are going to take this constitution, but it did not become a law. It did not get enforced till 26 January. On 26 January 1950. See the difference 2 months later. On same number, date is the same. See, 26th, 26th. This was November 1949. This is January 1950. So just 2 months afterwards, that was the day that they decided to enforce or bring it into operation, the constitution. And the first and last Indian Governor General is C. Rajagopalachari. This person is C. Rajagopalachari. When Britishers were there, the head of the country was called the Governor General, okay, or the Viceroy. Okay, he was called Viceroy or Governor General. So the last British Governor General was Lord Mountbatten. Now, Lord Mountbatten, he gave the power to C. Rajagopalachari and he went away. And C. Rajagopalachari became the head of the country till we had elections. Now you understood? Till we had elections, we didn't have president, we didn't have prime minister, we didn't have all these people. So till the time we had elections and all, C. Rajagopalachari took the responsibilities from Lord Mountbatten and he became the head of the country. So this person is C. Rajagopalachari. Okay, so he was the first and last Indian Governor General. You guys should know the correct spelling of C. Rajagopalachari. I don't want any mistakes in that. It's not a very difficult name. You have to split the name into parts. Rajagopalachari. Okay, Rajagopalachari. Then elections were held from 1950 to 1952. Throughout India it was held. So it took almost 2 years. 2 years it was held, and then this post of Governor General was removed and the head of the country was called the president. Okay. And who became the president? Rajendra Prasad, who was the president of the Constituent Assembly. One second. Can you all see the picture? This is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So, just like, what do you say? He was the president of the Constituent Assembly also. He was the president of the Constituent Assembly, and after elections, he became the president of India. Now we are going to see why did we not adopt the constitution on 26 November when it was ready? When it was ready on 26 November 1949, why did we not take it? Why did we wait for 2 months to enforce the constitution? There is a reason. The reason is in 1929, when we were fighting for our independence, 1929, INC met for their annual sessions. See, Indian National Congress used to meet every year to discuss what they want to do. Okay, the next year, what are the plans? How are they? What actions they're going to take to fight the British? To discuss all this, they used to meet every year in one place. Okay, so in 1929, they met in Lahore. Where did they meet? Lahore. So it was called the Lahore session. So that was in December. Okay, December 1929, the annual session of Indian National Congress happened in Lahore. In the Lahore session, for the very first time, the freedom fighters took a vow. They took a pledge that they are going to ask for complete freedom. Till then, they were not fighting for complete freedom. Remember, even though, you know, the INC was formed in 1885 and the freedom struggle had started. But till then, we were only asking for greater participation in the government. We wanted to be under the British only. We really did not think that we want to become separate or we want to become completely independent. But in 1929, first time, we passed a resolution saying that we don't want to be under the British at all. We want complete independence. Okay, we want full power. So this resolution was taken in 1929 in Lahore. After taking that resolution in January, the next month, okay, following that on 26 January 1930, on 1929 December, the resolution was taken. 1 month later, on 26 January 1930, what did they do? They hoisted the Indian tricolor flag. For the first time. Till then, we did not have our own flag also. For the first time, they said that we will make our own flag, and they hoisted our flag. And then they said, they declared that they are independent. They said, from today, we are independent and we are not under the British rule. This is what they told. Okay. And they sang whatever our patriotic songs and all. And from that day, every year on 26 January, they used to hoist the tricolor flag and they used to celebrate that day as Independence Day. We did not actually get independence, but we ourselves declared that we are independent and we were celebrating 26 January as the Independence Day. Imagine, from 1930 to 1947, when we got real independence. We got independence in 1947. 17 years, 17 years we were celebrating 26 January as the Independence Day. So after celebrating it for so many years, everybody had a sentimental attachment to this date. They all felt that this is a very sacred and very auspicious date. That was the date we declared that we will be independent from the British. And that is why we fought so bravely against the British and we got independence. So people said, now we will be celebrating 15th August as the Independence Day because that is the day we got our independence. Then we will all forget 26 January. They said that after some years, our children and grandchildren and everybody will forget what was this 26 January, why it is so dear to us. So they said that we will not let this historical day go out of the memories of people. We must keep this memory alive, that it was celebrated as Independence Day. So that is why they decided that we will adopt, not adopt, we will enforce the constitution on 26 January, so that, one second. So you can see, so 26 January is celebrated or as Republic Day, a day when our constitution was enforced and India became a republic. Now you understood why we have waited from November 1949, 26 November 1949 to 26 January 1950. We waited for 2 months to enforce the constitution, because we wanted to enforce it on January 26th, and January 26th was a very important date. That is why we waited. Okay, so 26 January is celebrated as Republic Day, a day when we got our constitution and the day when India became a republic.